physical form, some of the time. There's potential for everything that we conceive of, including our physical biological bodies, to really kind of be in multiple phases simultaneously. And that, I think, from a quantum healing perspective, just really just opens up so much possibility and potential. So that's kind of a little bit of the background with which I'm viewing the science of epigenetics, which literally means above the genome. And epigenetics is basically the science of the change in genetic expression that occurs through lived experience and interaction with the environment that doesn't cause a change to the DNA. So this is the manner in which lived experience can be passed through generations. And the discovery of epigenetics really kind of blew our previous comprehension of genetics kind of out of the water, because prior to this discovery, it was really thought that genes were destiny, and really the sort of reductionist scientific approach and all of the research in genetics and the Human Genome Project was kind of geared to some extent and certainly funded, kind of by the pharmaceutical industry, with the intention of, we can discover what the gene is that's associated with the disease, and then we can treat that. We can, if X, then Y. And, we can, if there's this gene, then we'll give you this drug. And, this is how we'll, kind of use this information to, improve people's lives and, kind of try to prevent and treat disease. But it really turned out, it was, really kind of quite a surprise that the genetic material was actually really not that complex. And it was surprising, for example, that, the same gene that encodes for keratin, the protein that makes up your hair, skin, nails, as well as hooves and, animal, it's basically the exact.
Whoop. Losing you there, Diana. All right, let's see. All right, everybody hang in there.
Exact same.
We lost you there for a sec.
Uh-oh.
You know what? Why don't you try taking the slides, closing the slides?
Okay.
And let me pull it up on so then you want to go back down and unshare, yeah.
Unshare. Okay. Are we back?
We're back, yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
And let me just see if I can do that. So.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, pulling it up, I'll just, kind of continue the train of thought, hopefully, if I can come back to it. But essentially, it was kind of a breakthrough that we couldn't really, kind of break an understanding down into, kind of the simplest parts. And epigenetics is a field, a fairly recent field that's emerged, that's helped shed some light on the fact that genetic expression, which the phenotype basically, so you've got your genome, which is the unchanging DNA, that's, kind of the hand you were dealt basically. And then the phenotype, which is the way that those genes are expressed. We now know that we can influence whether certain genes are turned off or on by how we live, interaction with the environment, our nutrition, our lifestyle, our stress level, so many different variables play a role. And many of these things we, obviously have some control over. So it really kind of shifted the paradigm from the genes as destiny model. So now that let's go ahead to that one. Okay, so this is just kind of a little kind of primer on some of the basics of biology and genetics and DNA. And like folks had asked before we got started, we could share the notes, and certainly I'll do that. But this is kind of just sort of a refresher from probably high school biology, but essentially, it goes way back. My daughter is a freshman in high school, so she's kind of learning about some of this stuff too. But basically, what is happening with epigenetic shifts is that there's a change in the bond between the nucleotides. So the nucleotides are basically the building blocks. Those are the base pairs, the A, T, C, G, in the double-stranded helix of DNA. So essentially, we're not changing anything about the genetic makeup, the hand you were dealt. We're just simply, kind of shifting some of the bonds essentially. And there's different mechanisms by which this takes place. One very common, the most common mechanism of epigenetic change is called methylation, which is basically when a little hydrogen and carbon cluster is added to a genetic sequence, and it sort of changes the bond structure a little bit. So again, it's really minor changes that occur through interaction with the environment and lived experience that can have pretty dramatic impact on your lived experience and sort of your own disease risk and health, as well as that of future generations. So let's jump ahead to the next one, and I think so, of course, the field of epigenetics is interested in ultimately the goal of anticipating the health of the individual and the population. So part of why this is, fascinating science right now is because we want to see if we can, actually bring about changes, not only, kind of avoiding adverse influences that affect epigenetic change, but also, kind of do the things that are favorable. And as it turns out, a lot of the things that are favorable for disease prevention and optimizing health of the individual and the population are really self-care practices, as well as vibrational healing and different things that we'll kind of get into.